All right, what's happening, everybody? Winston Davis here with Move Up Consulting. Welcome to the video. We are in our third video here of our series on the art of recognition. And so this is all about how to recognize your movers and drivers in your moving business. One of the things I've learned is that your ability, your skill in communicating recognition is by far has the biggest influence on retention for your company. So we already covered in video number 1, which maybe Brett will plug right here, why to recognize movers. Okay, video number 2 was when to recognize movers. And what we're going to talk about today is what to recognize. Before we jump in, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So important, so important. Like, seriously, hit the button. Do it now. Because we want to have as many people as possible get this information. And the way that the YouTube algorithms work is the more people that subscribe, okay, the more people that see our videos and see this channel. So go ahead and give us a subscribe. All right. So let's jump in. What to recognize movers on. So what's super valuable here is just knowing there is almost an infinite amount of positive actions that someone could do in the business that you would want to reinforce. Positive reinforcement is, the concept here is so simple, but it's so hard to get people to understand. And just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy to execute. So just know that this is going to take a lot of practice. It's going to take a lot of reminder. My recommendation is to create systems around this. Systems could look like a phone alarm or a notification on your phone or sticky note reminders like all over the office, daily task reminders. There's lots of ways to do this. Calendar reminders, lots of ways to put small, call them like just little notifications. Really, it's a trigger to then tell you to do this action, okay? And eventually it just becomes habit, and that's really what you want. So I'm going to go through a big list, things that you can recognize movers on, super valuable, and I think everybody will get a ton of benefit here. So one that is major, right? We already talked about it in a previous video, but being on time, okay? Being prompt, that is huge, okay? Recognizing your guys on showing up 5 to 10 minutes early, okay? Not if they're supposed to be there at 7 a.m., not for being there at 7. It's for being there at 6:50, okay? That is one of the biggest problems in our industry and with local companies, but it really should be something that you can solve within maybe about 3 to 4 weeks. But most companies just let the problem go and go and go and go, and then it just runs you to death almost. And, you know, it's unfortunate because you can solve it, like I said, in 3 to 4 weeks. Being in uniform. That's huge, right? You want to make sure your guys are in uniform. You want to make sure that there's a standard image that's going out in your crews every day when you go on jobs. Another one, huge, communicating and responsiveness. Responsiveness is one that blows my mind. People have their phone on them, by the way. Anybody that they don't text or call you back for 2 days, it's like, dude, I know you had your phone, right? They chose not to respond. It's not that they didn't see it. It's because they chose not to. And it's probably because they don't want to come into work because they don't like working for you. That's a pretty tough message, but something that we all need to evaluate. Okay, so responsiveness. So if somebody gets back to you quickly, right? Dude, recognize that person. Recognize them. All right, here's something I would do. I mean, this is just, and it sounds crazy. It sounds like, dude, I just expect this out of people. But again, we have to learn that our expectations are going to not our standard, but our expectations may not always be the same with every single, demographic and type of people that come work at our company. But my standard is high. Okay, my standard's here, but what I expect out of the guy may not be the same as my standard. I expect the guy at times to not respond quickly, but the times he does respond quickly, screenshot it, take on your iPhone or smartphone, right? You can take like a pencil in red, draw over it, and circle over the timestamp of the messages. So you sent your message where it timestamps at 3:05 p.m. and then they respond at 3:06 p.m., circle those two things and send it in the group. Say, hey guys, I just want to show you what responsiveness looks like. Paul is a huge example of this. Just wanted to shout out, thanks for being responsive. You're a team player. You're always on point. And this is what it takes to grow this business into a massive success, right? Like, that is what that could look like, all right? Using furniture protection, all right? This is a big one, right? You buy all this equipment and then nobody uses it. What are we doing, right? It's like, why did we buy it if we don't use it? And that's what it's there for. So you want to recognize your guys on using the equipment, using the furniture protection, and not just using it, but using it the right way. Okay, this is why it's so important to have managers doing spot checks, doing site visits, going to the jobs, seeing how the guys are doing. That's why you as the owner, it's important to go check out jobs, right? So you can see these things. Your guys being alert and having a high level of energy when they come to work. One of the worst things, I hate this, is when guys come in and they're like, oh, you know, they got their hood up and they're like barely awake, they're slumped over, their back's all bent. And it's like, dude, you don't look like you're ready to move somebody. Like, you gotta be ready to go, right? If you gotta wake up an hour early before you come to work, then that's what you gotta do. But when a guy comes in and he's alert, he's got a lot of energy, ready to go, recognize that, okay? Following processes, all right? Whether it's maybe at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, if there is a checklist or a process for something and someone follows it, recognize them for that. And remember, last video we talked about when to recognize. Immediately after they do the positive action, daily, all right? Recognize people daily. Also, you want to recognize people in public, okay? Super important. 3 core features to when to recognize movers. Immediately, daily, and in public, all right? Putting equipment back on the truck the way it started, okay? This is basically getting when you bring the truck back, making sure it's clean, make sure all your pads are folded properly, make sure that the equipment's back on there, and make sure that all of the equipment you took is back. So important. Recognize that. Interacting with customers. I could talk for hours on that one. Here's a good one. Upselling on moves. Like, you start seeing that they have levels, okay? Positive actions have tiers, all right? Upselling, moving supplies on moves is a great action, and that should have tons of praise, tons of recognition. Asking for reviews. You shouldn't necessarily grade the guy on whether he got the review or not. You should grade him on if he asked for the review in a positive, polite manner. That's what we should be grading our guys on. Not whether they got the review or not. They cannot control that ultimately. But they can control if they ask it and how they ask for it. If you guys still do paperwork or if you got bill waiting on an iPad, doesn't matter. But completing paperwork properly, that can be recognized. Driving safely with the trucks, that should be recognized. Keeping the trucks clean of trash, that should be recognized. Having good attitudes, that should be recognized. And the list could go on and on and on, but you can literally build a systematic approach to recognizing people in your business. The reason we don't is because we don't put a high enough priority on it. We put sales first, we put dispatch and crews first, we put all these things first when our biggest problem is people and getting people to buy in to the formula and the playbook for success. These are the things that make the business run smooth. That's where you should invest your time. Recognize your people on these actions and any other positive actions in your business. I promise you it will immensely grow the business in a positive way. Okay? So, what to recognize your movers on. If you need to go back through this, take some notes, go back through it. I recommend watching the previous videos. And again, give us a subscribe so that way you don't miss next week's video, which is going to be one of the most important ones, which is on how to recognize movers. All right? We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.